Check this out.
I'm laughing because this is one of about 10 stories that I know you've covered where the government shows preference to people who have shown absolute contempt for our customs, our laws, our system itself, and they're being treated better than American citizens. Now, I know that the left and all the little gatekeepers on Twitter become literally hysterical if you use the term replacement, if you suggest that the Democratic Party is trying to replace the current electorate, the voters now casting ballots, with new people, more obedient voters from the third world. But they become hysterical because that's what's happening, actually. Let's just say it. That's true. If this was happening in your house, if you were in 6th grade, for example, and without telling you, your parents adopted a bunch of new siblings and gave them brand new bikes and let them stay up later and help them with their homework and gave them twice the allowance that they gave you, you would say to your siblings, I think we're being replaced by kids that our parents love more. And it would be kind of hard to argue against you because look at the evidence. So this matters on a bunch of different levels, but on the most basic level, it's a voting rights question. In a democracy, one person equals one vote. If you change the population, you dilute the political power of the people who live there. So every time they import a new voter, I become disenfranchised as a current voter. So I don't understand why we don't understand this. I mean, everyone wants to make a racial issue out of it. Ooh, the white replacement theory. No. This is a voting rights question.
He literally says, Tucker Carlson, that literally, again, not figuratively, that this is not a race thing, that this is a power play by the Democrats. This is something I've spoken about often. Immigration for Democrats has nothing to do with compassion. It has everything to do with one thing. The Democrats have been hemorrhaging for decades, middle-class voters disgruntled with the state of America because of Democrat policies. The pushing of identity politics, the endless insults against people, the smelly Walmart crowd attitude. Democrats have been hemorrhaging middle-class voters. They have become exclusively the party of rich white elitists, coastal elitists in California, New York, and outside of the coast in Illinois, Massachusetts, and Maryland, too. That has become their party. And they've also become the party of the poor because they promise things to the poor they can't possibly pay off. They have been hemorrhaging middle-class voters across all racial categories, as Donald Trump showed, for now a very long time. And the Donald Trump era has shown that they're now starting to hemorrhage middle-class voters that are Hispanic, that are Asian, Vietnamese, Cuban, Puerto Rican. It's a fact. It's a numbers game. It is not my opinion. It's a fact. Their power base are coastal elites, liberal elites, and the poor who they promise things to they can't possibly pay for. Everybody get that? They have been getting wrecked in the middle class. The Democrats understand that this is causing them a power problem because the long-term demographic trends do not work for them. They need unfettered, open-bordered immigration. It doesn't matter from where, as long as the people who immigrate here vote Democrat. If you don't vote Democrat and you are a minority, like Cuban voters, you're not allowed in. Remember, we got to get that out, that Mayorkas thing. We got to get Mayorkas, where Mayorkas says, Cubans, you better stay home. Don't you dare come here.
The time is never right to attempt migration by sea. To those who risk their lives doing so, this risk is not worth taking. Allow me to be clear. If you take to the sea, you will not come to the United States.
I thought this was about letting minority voters come into the United States and giving them a compassionate shot. Not if they're going to vote Republican. Again, folks, this is not, the verdict is in. This is not about race. Make no mistake. If you are Hispanic, black, whatever you are, and you come here as an immigrant and you vote Republican, they do not want you here, the Democrats. It is about power. They want you to vote for them. Tucker said that, and there was an eruption. Tucker Carlson, white replacement theory. He literally says this has nothing to do with race. The data backs him up. They don't care. If you dare talk about replacing voters so that the Democrats can maintain power and destroy the country, you are definitely a racist, according to leftists. So play into Anton's piece, I promise. I'm not just talking about this for nothing. Proving Anton's point that depending on who says it, it's either racist or it's wonderful. Here's the New York Times in October of 2018, Michelle Goldberg saying the exact same thing. We can replace them. In Georgia, a chance to rebuke white nationalism. Here's the New York Times not only supports this theory of replacing, put that screenshot if you don't mind up, quote, embittered white conservatives. This is their words. Right now, America's tearing itself apart as an embittered white conservative majority clings to power, terrified at being swamped by a new multiracial polyglot majority. I'm asking common sense here. I'm just asking you to use it for a moment, especially if you're a leftist. I know that's hard. What is Michelle Goldberg at the New York Times saying that Tucker Carlson didn't say? They said the exact same thing. You understand just Michelle Goldberg celebrating it? This is great. We're bringing in a bunch of replacement voters to get rid of you embittered white conservatives. The difference is, there is one small difference. The small difference is Tucker Carlson literally says it has nothing to do with race, which is backed up by the numbers. Again, they don't want Cubans here, even though they're minorities, because they tend to vote Republican. They don't. They celebrate it. Nothing to do with race. You vote Democrat, they don't care where you're from. You could be from Mars, you're welcome here. Because it's about power, raw power. The difference, though, is the New York Times reporter explicitly makes it about race. You nasty, smelly, stinking white conservatives. She makes it about race. Yet she's celebrated while Tucker Carlson's attacked for saying the same thing, ironically with less of an edge to it, because he specifically makes the case that it's not about race. One person's attacked, Tucker Carlson. The other person celebrated. Here's Dick Durbin, Democrat loser, Senator Dick Durbin from Illinois, who again literally makes the exact same case Tucker Carlson did, except for the fact that he's celebrating the fact that they're trying to bring in new voters to replace the voters that won't vote for them anymore. Check this out.
The demographics of America are not on the side of the Republican Party. The new voters in this country are moving away from them, away from Donald Trump, away from their party creed that they preach.
I thought that was a conspiracy theory. I thought you were a racist if you talked about that. Didn't they just say that? They lost their minds when Tucker said the exact same thing Durbin said. I thought it was a conspiracy theory. It's not?